The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Mick Bazsuly Show, brought to you by RP Summit, putting money in businesses' pockets for 20 years. Visit rpsummit.com. Now, here's Mick.
10:05 on a Sweet Tart Tuesday here in Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale, broadcasting live on 740 AM, 103.9 FM, 96.9 FM throughout South Florida and around the globe on amp2.tv. We got a big show coming up. You know, we've been talking about a lot of different stocks. Next week we will have on Tuesday Cleartronic, CLRI on the show. Larry Reed will be in studio with the new partners. And right now we're going to be talking about Pot Network. Again, Pot Network has finally done their audits. I mean, I had one of my guys, Big Dan, who has the U.S. Postal Center up in right where I live. He grabbed me the other day. He says, Mick, I'm looking for a company. I want to get in this the hemp thing and all that other stuff going on, and I just don't know what to do and what do I look for. And I said, well, you won't look for a company that's fully reporting, a company that's audited, a company that has sales. You want something that has sales. You don't want an upstart has a lot of risk if they're on the pink sheets, even more risk if they're not audited. You see all kinds of manipulation and things like that as you move to the better boards, the bulletin board, the QX, NASDAQ, so on and such, less and less every time. And that's what I gave him the advice, and he kind of liked it. And I never recommend anybody to buy anything, but I say that's what I look for. I do my own due diligence, and certainly what fills and files under this is Pot Network. And without further ado, we're going to go to the spokesman, chief spokesman, longtime consultant to many companies over the years. I know him for quite a while. This is like his 8th show with me here. Okay, Mr. Bruce Barron. Bruce, good morning. I know you're out in L.A., and it's a little early for you, but welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Mickey, and I'm glad to be on as usual.
You know, I've been looking at the older shows that go back to last year, and I guess this is like your 1-year anniversary at Pod Network. This company was only really engulfed in a public entity of April of last year, and now you've gone ahead and you've completed your audits, and the sales are pretty prevalent. I mean, you did over $15 million in gross. The numbers are going up. What do you see?
Well, I think that what this company's done, like most companies, is that it's really focused on its revenue side of the business. It's got its distribution in place, which is key. It's got 10,000, give or take, outlets out there. It's got a good activity on the e-commerce site, which is running about 25% of revenue, which is nice because that's a higher margin type business. But most importantly, it's constantly introducing new product and expanding geographically. So that's critical to any company. What I look at is what's the ability to expand revenue when I look at a company. And this company's done an amazing job, obviously. Last year it ticked off 14+ million. This year it should be in the 25 to 30, although a little higher than that according to the Harbinger report. And it looks like it's got its foundation well in place.
Your numbers have been quite conservative because I remember when we spoke in June. If you go to, for any of the shareholders out there, most of the shows that we've done together, Bruce, are on YouTube under the Mick Bazsuly Show. If you look at the consistency, you had predicted about 8 to 10 million. You actually exceeded your numbers this year.
Well, that's the trick of good management. Be conservative in your forecasting. Don't exaggerate, and make sure whatever you forecast, you minimally hit. Now, if you can go beyond that, as this company has, fantastic. Originally, it projected last year 8.3. It came in at 14.5. That's what we call healthy, nice, solid management performance, and that's what we can look for in these emerging businesses.
Now, as you do more and more gross, as your gross sales increase, it gets cheaper in the long run. So you're capped off at about 25%. Is it reasonable to say that you would jump maybe another 5 or 7% on your net figure based on more gross. The more you sell, the better the profit margin. Am I correct in that
Well,
assumption?
we're doing better than that. Our forecasts are going to be somewhere in the 35 to 38% gross margin area, which is nice. That means we've got an ability to continue to hit marketing expenses, to plan for the future, and make sure our numbers are stable and it shows a good growth factor.
Now, your March numbers for this year have exceeded, I guess, every other month. You continue to grow, and yet we didn't have any major holidays that would warrant somebody going out and spending more money.
That's true, though, but that's the astuteness of a good management team. You put your emphasis on marketing, you put your emphasis on positive cash flow. The net is we're looking to generate a good capitalized value for shareholder return.
Now, for those that aren't familiar, when you're on the pink sheets, you can do yourself the numbers, and it doesn't have to be audited. Now, an audit is it's a different animal than just having somebody, an accountant, do your numbers, because they are responsible. They have to search down every dollar that comes into the company, and every dollar has to be verified that goes out of a company, and then eventually they sign off on it. You can't just take a look without an audit, because the auditor puts himself on the line when he signs off on the audit. And that's one of the criteria to uplisting. And my understanding is you are going to be going through the process of uplisting, probably to the QX, from what I understand, or at least the bulletin board. And then you'll have to be obligated to file quarterly. All the criteria to meet that criteria for the bulletin board. I got a lot of questions from people on that. What is the period, and how do you see yourself uplisting to a better exchange?
Well, to correct you slightly there, Mickey, we're going to go to the QB and then perhaps the QC or directly to NASDAQ.
Mm-hmm.
Look for the first 6 months of this year. We've already started the process that we should be able to make the formal application, and then it's a matter of the SEC and FINRA doing their so-called due diligence, etc.
Well, you meet the criteria.
We're well on the way, and it's almost a guaranteed positive that we'll be able to uplift the security now that our audits are done.
Yeah, well, that's a big step. There's less manipulation, of course, on the bigger boards as you get up and up. What is your short position?
I think the key issue here is, how do you give investor confidence? Investor confidence is you certify your numbers, you make sure they're timely produced. Equally important is you make sure what you tell them at the inception. In other words, I'm going to do $8.5 million this year. No, don't do $8.5 million. Beat that expectation. That's what this company is all about. They're there to provide valid numbers and what we call solid performance. They've got the distribution channel built. They've got the ability to introduce new products. They've got their online presence. And the most importantly is they're getting the word out so that the product moves off the shelf. And that's the key in the retail side of it.
You also have a retail equation in this, being in about 10,000 store locations throughout the United States. Am I correct in that assumption? Has that grown at all?
Yes, that continues to be focused on. As you know, when you get to those kind of numbers, you get some turnover and what have you. But this company's also come out with something very unique in the last 30, 60 days, which is the cryptocurrency area. Because one of the big problems that CBD and marijuana are having is depositing cash on cash.
Mm-hmm.
Most banks don't like it. This company has been innovative. They've gone out. They've gotten themselves a cryptocurrency component to the business now, which should help even better in the management of cash flow and revenue growth.
There's a lot of companies taking that step now into crypto. I know Players Network, PNTV, they're also going into that. They own the Weed Channel and a bunch of other things. Mark Bradley, who's a friend of mine out in Vegas, I know him 15 years. They seem to be going in that direction. And speaking to some of his people the other day, they say that they'll see more and more, maybe another 50,000 or 60,000 companies joining cryptocurrencies. It's kind of expanding. It's quite confusing to the layman. When you look at it, you say, how's this possible? And what it is, it's basically an internet transaction that takes place, void of any banks, void of any any real, how can I put it? The banks can't regulate it. Am I correct in that?
Well, but it hits to a more basic problem, Mickey, and that's the ability to deposit cash on cash.
Mm-hmm.
Most banks are now rejecting the depository of cash of any material amount. You get above $500, you got to fill out a special form. And so what this company has done, which is smart, we know we have a problem. Let's go attack the problem. Let's get into the cryptocurrency market. Let's get into it so it benefits the company. Let's not just make a facade out of it, which is what a lot of these companies are doing in order to get what we call multiple or capitalization hypes. This company's really in it, and the most important thing is it's in it because it wants to add to its revenue capabilities. And that's what's important. It's got a solid reason to enter the marketplace, and that's what's critical here.
You know, it's funny you should bring it up. One of my offices here in Broward County, I paid the rent now for, I guess, 6 years with that location in Broward. I have another one up in Palm Beach. I usually went to Bank America, and I always paid cash. They will not accept cash anymore. I mean, it's ridiculous. I've been paying the rent there for 6 or 7 years, and it made it convenient for me. But now I got to get them a check. They just do not accept cash anymore.
That's because, Mickey, you're from New York. What can I tell you?
Come on, will you? Don't
you're a New Yorker. We don't know what goes on in New York.
The key to that is from New York. You're out in Los Angeles, out in California. I wouldn't exactly throw stones if I was you. All right.
Well, we have a high intensity out here in the marijuana business. They claim medical, what have you.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of startup businesses, etc. But the big difference is that this company has built a solid foundation. It's got real distribution, real sales, and real earnings. Now, what's nice about this company is that last year, instead of trying to force the profit forecast, it borrowed from the profit forecast and pre-expensed a lot of the marketing expenses to ensure that the current forecast is going to be made. And the best example of that is $6 million forecasted for the first quarter. What did this company do? Something different. It beat its forecast.
Right. Now, that's always a positive wherever you go. If it was a NASDAQ company, it would have went through the roof. You know, nothing can undermine a good foundation more than toxic debt, which you incur when you're trying to get your business up. You need that block of cash to go ahead and build what you have. I've gotten so many emails about toxic debt. And, to declare it toxic, I think it would be a wrong statement. None of this stock, to your knowledge, has actually hit the boards, and you're negotiating your way out of it. Am I correct?
That's correct. Those negotiations have started. That's a key item on the agenda for 2018. And most importantly is this company recognizes what its problems are. It recognizes the obstacles to build shareholder value and capitalize value. What are they doing? They're focusing on it.
If you could retire that debt, now I know other companies that had it and they were able to negotiate their way out, where the convertibles just don't happen. You do need the money to get going, and it's really these hedge funds that will give you the money. But they have to have a way out. You got to give them a back door. Their back door is they hope you don't get repaid so they can convert you into the ground. You haven't had any of that problem. None of that's converted yet.
Yeah, but the problem with toxic debt is, as you and I are both aware, being old-timers in this business, is that it pops on the marketplace at the wrong time. This is controlled debt, which is good. It's not hitting the market. It's sitting there, and it's waiting to be renegotiated. And everybody on both sides of the fence have a positive attitude to getting this restructured. That's what's critical. It's not a hostile situation. The beauty here is I've got a company that's making money. I've got a company that's growing. I've got a company that's building value. And that's all the more reason to take your debt and renegotiate it and put it into a longer-term format.
I would definitely be to their advantage. They don't want to go to war. And basically, I had a company, I'll tell you what it was. It was Rocky Mountain High, where the guy tried to surface and go ahead and convert them out. They got in a lawsuit because Rocky Mountain High listed him as an insider because he came above the 10% rule with his conversion rate, and he basically shut him down. They went and negotiated, and they bought it back. And I remember that was about a year and a half ago that happened. It took about 6 months to resolve it. But the hedge fund that they went to wasn't a reputable hedge fund, so they really wanted to convert them into the abyss. But that market, that never hit it either, so it kind of worked out. Bruce, we're going to go to a break. I'm going to come back in a minute. We'll continue on with this here at Bruce Barron, Pot Network, POTN. Right now on the pin
Coco
sheet,
Pazzo,
we're going back. Okay, very good. I'll be right back.
Go to Coco Pazzo for the finest Italian food this side of Italy. Go to Coco Pazzo on East Commercial Boulevard, 2724 East Commercial Boulevard. Happy hour daily, 5 till 7 o'clock, 4 till 7 during the week. Can't beat it. A bar menu second to none. Fried calamari, meatballs, eggplant rollatini, and fresh mozzarella. Chef Carlo will set you up perfectly at Coco Pazzo. 4 stars in the Sun Sentinel. Unprecedented. 4 stars. Voted the best new restaurant in Fort Lauderdale. Coco Pazzo. Stop in. Say hello. Stiff drinks. Best happy hour in Fort Lauderdale is at Coco Pazzo. The best mozzarella. All made fresh. Cooked to order. Music Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights at Coco Pazzo. Come early. The band starts early. Forget about it. The best Italian food around, Coco Pazzo. Reservations 754-265-7116.
Back on the air here on 740, the monster in the East. Coco Pazzo this week. Liz Sharp. You go down there and catch the Howard Baker Trio. I'll be down there Friday night. Liz is a great vocalist. She's been recorded. And as Howard Baker in from Vegas, they're really pleasurable. You'll enjoy yourself at Coco Pazzo. Take it from me. Bruce, back to the year ahead. I've gotten a lot of questions. We talk about the continued growth and so on and forth, jumping to another board. How is it working with your employees? How many employees do you have right now, and do you look for expansion? I know maybe the tax cuts helped you, the company. Are you looking to hire more people?
Well, when with growth naturally comes hiring, but this company has a great multiple on revenue per employee, so that, yes, obviously we anticipate to double revenue this year, which is amazing, and each year thereafter to continue to see the doubling of that revenue over the ensuing 5-year period. There's a great research report out, by the way, in-depth, some 15 pages by Harbinger Research, which gets into the revenue forecast and what have you. But yes, the production base will continue to be enlarged as revenue is produced.
As we look ahead to this year coming, the time frame on uplisting, it usually takes between 3 to 8 months. Well, you were somewhere in the middle of that because people are really looking for you to move on to another exchange.
Well, we have to move on to another exchange. I mean, being on the pinks is nice, but that's at the very beginning of a business. We're going to the QB, and then from there, God knows. So we keep performing like this. Will be more than exciting to and anxious to continue to uplist and eventually get to the NASDAQ small cap.
Are you looking forward to another show coming up? I know your booth in Vegas is just about packed with people. They did almost $300,000 in sales over a 4-day show, which is amazing. And what big shows do you have coming up? Anything you can clue us in on in case I'm out west? I'd like to drop in too and see you.
Well, that's up to the marketing department. But yes, shows are a very important part of the marketing program. And the important point is that when you start to grow a company, you've got to become recognized as a peer in the industry. This company is definitely on the ebb of becoming that peer or the leader in the industry, particularly in the emerging markets area. Everybody knows that marijuana is a hot topic. However, there's legislation that's, who knows where that is. But CBD is the area to be in, and that's the expanding area, and constantly looking at new products, new distribution outlets, both domestically and internationally. That's where you want to be.
Again,
how do you get the word out? You go to trade shows. That's where they want to really see you to make sure that you're out there supporting the retail distribution side of the business.
That's really who
And that's
visits you
why
at
our
the booth.
distributors are very happy, to say the least.
You pick up, every time you do a show, you pick up a couple of hundred distributors every time, because that's basically where they go.
That's the smart thing to do. That's how you make an economic return on the show. Many people go to show to have an entertainment vehicle. This company goes to the show to do business. We're here to make sure we made money on the investment in the show. And how do we do that? We go out and we get new customers.
You know, you see some of these people in the chat rooms that seem to know the business better than you do. You know, when I tell people the chat rooms, you can't trust them unless the news comes out from the company itself. Do not believe what you read there for good or bad. Do your own due diligence. This company welcomes due diligence. They have an audit, which is free to examine. Go ahead and read it. It's online, right on your website. Or you can go to the SEC page, and you can look up everything from all their 8Ks, 10Ks going back over the years. And I say go ahead and do it before you start chatting off something you don't know. And there's a lot of that. That's why you don't believe anything you read on a chat room. I don't care if it's a Microsoft chat room or a Pot Network. Just doesn't matter. The chat rooms are just that. Would you agree on that one, Bruce?
Oh, I would more than agree, because what they trying to do in chat rooms is to get individual recognition. I know more than a company, which is kind of wrong to start with. But more importantly is they're trying to get their presence out there, not the company, but the individual doing the chatting, and picking up on their following, which is all a bunch of nonsense. What you want to look at is, does the company have certified numbers? Does it make its forecast? Does it need cash? Is it positive cash flow? All what we call the key basic elements of running a business, particularly in the startup area. You got to remember, this company came out of the box, $14.5 million, and made a profit. You know how many emerging businesses in the first year make a profit?
Not too many. Not too many in Wall Street. That's for sure. Some of these places got Walmart floats in the revenue of a Kool-Aid stand, to say the least. And then you look at them trading. I don't know why anybody would buy on the come. Everybody's looking to find something at 15 cents and have it go to $300. And it does happen. Just doesn't happen often enough for me. I'm going to hedge my money no matter how you look at it. But you do have all the advantages on the pink sheets, that you are audited. The only difference is you're still on the pink sheets and you haven't gotten your approvals for uplisting yet. But the audits are the main thing with any company. These are numbers that are guaranteed by the auditor itself, who has no stake in the company, cannot take stock, has to be paid cash, has to be paid up front. They have no dog in the hunt. So they're not going to lie. They're not going to fabricate. Every dollar in, every dollar out, verified and signed off. That's why I like audited companies.
Well, I think that's a key ingredient to an emerging business, because the toughest thing that we have in new businesses is to believe the numbers that they produce. Oftentimes these are inflated numbers, or they're not properly expense-type numbers to support the revenue curves.
Yeah.
And the critical path here is very few companies. First year, guess what? This company went to audit right away.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Unprecedented. I don't know any other company that's done that in the first year. You know, it's not against the pink sheets. Toyota is on the pink sheets. There are many companies on the pink sheets that are very, very successful. The point is that there are a lot of companies that are just trying to find their way and using the pink sheets as an avenue, because you don't have that $100,000 in expense to go ahead and do audits and do your filings, your Edgarizing. Or it used to be $150,000 a year to maintain a bulletin board shell. So I can see a company rather put its money elsewhere while it goes through its growth. Are you correct in that one, huh, Bruce?
Well, most companies can't afford to do that in the first year. That's the big problem here. And here's a company that not only afforded it, but came out with positive results at the end of the year.
Right, not ashamed to go ahead and broadcast it. Mm-hmm. Well, Bruce, it's been another great show. I want to thank you for it, and we'll wrap it up until next time. I look for great things from Pot Network, POTN, the symbol. All right, check it out. Look at their filings, and then you make your decisions on yourself if you're a shareholder out there. And right now we're trading, I guess we're trading between 30 and 40 cents, around 35 to 38 cents a share. That's a long way from 006. I look for good things, Bruce, and I'll talk to you soon again, and thank you for being on the show.
Very good, and thank you for the opportunity. Good
Yes,
luck,
sir. Mr. Bruce Barron. Well, I tell you, Bruce is well-traveled. He goes back to opening China. He was in the advance party sent over by Richard Nixon, our president, when he broke all barriers with China, which had been under lock and key for close to 30 years. And he opened doors. He knows the Orient. They're looking at the Chinese market, he told me earlier when we talked off air. A lot of headway there. It looks like he might be heading back over to China. Well, that's about wrap it up for us over here. I mean, it's a very good Sweet Tart Tuesday. Again, I'll be over. I'm looking forward to seeing the General. He's out of town. He's up in New York. He'll be back. General Bill will be back at Coco Pazzo probably tomorrow. I'll be over there Friday. Again, the Howard Baker Trio. Liz Sharp, one of the Sweet Tarts, one of the classiest girls you ever meet, great vocalist. She'll be singing over there on Friday night. Maybe drop in, happy hour, $5 drinks. Can't go wrong. I mean, try the zucchini flowers. $6. They give you 2 giant zucchini flowers stuffed. It's terrific. If you're on a diet, stay home and eat cottage cheese. If not, you want to have a good time, Fort Lauderdale, go rolling around. You'll laugh your rear end off, especially if I run into you, because I am a trip. Anyway, I'm the Mixter. Okay, I'll catch up with you next time. Next week, Cleartronic on the air. CLRI. They're doing something that's spectacular to my understanding. Have a great time. I love you all. God bless you. Catch you next time. So long.
You're simply the best.
Coco Pazzo. For the finest Italian food this side of Italy, go to Coco Pazzo on East Commercial Boulevard, 2724 East Commercial Boulevard. Happy hour daily, 5 till 7 o'clock, 4 till 7 during the week. Can't beat it. A bar menu second to none. Fried calamari, meatballs, eggplant rollatini, and fresh mozzarella. Chef Carlo will set you up perfectly at Coco Pazzo. 4 stars in the Sun Sentinel. Unprecedented. 4 stars. Voted the best new restaurant in Fort Lauderdale, Coco Pazzo. Stop in, say hello, stiff drinks. Best happy hour in Fort Lauderdale is at Coco Pazzo. The best mozzarella, all made fresh, cooked to order. Music Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights at Coco Pazzo. Come early, the band starts early. Forget about it. The best Italian food around, Coco Pazzo. Reservations 754-265-7111.